Good evening and welcome to Current Issues. I'm your host, Hisham Tilawi. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the midterm election is over. So, 2 more years of Barack Obama and no Congress. How would it be? How is it going to be? Is it good? Well, some people think it is. I happen to think it is not. And that's probably the weakness of the type of democracy that we have. So what is it going to be now? Filibustering for 2 more years? In a way, I think what happened is good for Obama. Because, it's easy to throw shots at those in power. So now we are going to see the Republicans in the House of Representatives and see what they can do. Something that they couldn't do when George Bush was there and they were in control. It's really amazing how American people forget so easy. Did you ever forget how did we get here? Did you forget how the economic conditions of this country became the way they are? It was not Obama. It was George Bush. It was the Republicans. So now we're going to have a president who basically cannot do anything because the House of Representatives is not with him. For our international viewers, let me give you a little bit of a political lesson here. Politics 101. The United States is run by a constitution, supposedly. Sometimes we work with it, we use it whenever we want to, and sometimes we just think it's a blank piece of paper, just like our former president, George Bush, once called it. But he did not say blank piece of paper. He said something else that we cannot say on the air. So we do have two houses of parliament, as you call them in Europe and the rest of the world. Over here we call them Congress. One of them is the House of Representatives. That is, it is based on the number of people living in each state. So not each state has the same number of representatives. Depends on the population. So smaller states have less members of Congress or House of Representatives depending on their numbers or their population numbers. That's the House of Representatives, which is supposed to be 435, but those who are elected, if we add 184 Democrats and 240 Republicans, we don't come up with 235. So somewhere the numbers are not driving. Unless there is probably some returns have not been decided yet. I don't know. Anyway, so we have 435 members of House of Representatives that they represent. See, we're not a democracy. We are a representative republic, which means that those representatives in Washington represent the people on the ground, supposedly. They don't. So the other house is the Senate, and on the Senate, to just kind of equal the playing field here, so it will be fair for everybody, that is composed of 2 senators out of each state. That's why we have 100 senators. They're supposed to be 102, but the Israeli representatives are not there yet. They will be. So, and then we have the president. Our laws are made by those 2 houses. They will have to agree, and then the bill goes to the president after it passes through those 2 houses. And then the president will sign it, and it becomes law, and that's how we live our lives here in the United States. Well, something happened, ladies and gentlemen, in this past, and the midterm. See, the House of Representatives, it is elected people in there. Those members are elected every 2 years. And the Senate every 6 years. But every 2 years we replace 1/3. Well, supposed to replace, but we hardly replace, not even 1/10. But because, incumbent senators normally they come back and come back and come back. They are like the Energizer Bunny. They get old and they're still going. Well, but something happened. Obama had both the Senate and the House of Representatives. Well, he lost the House of Representatives, so now the Republicans are in control of the House of Representatives. It's going to cause a problem. But forget about all that. How did we get here? And why? Why people are upset with Obama? Well, there's two things, ladies and gentlemen, here. We always have to get Israel involved in this thing. Not because I really like to get Israel involved in this, but because Israel is really involved in our politics. And you will see what we're talking about. Anytime any congressman, any president who wants to be a president, at first, before they do anything, they have to go and visit the wall. They have to make pilgrimage to the wall. Okay? Let's show those wall pictures so people will know exactly what wall we're talking about. Well, this here, Obama went to see Hashem. Hashem in Hebrew, it means God. But instead, look who he got. Not big difference between Hashem and Hisham. It's only one letter. My brother's name is Hashem too. So, he has to go and visit the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. He has to, not because he wants to, but because he has to. Every one of our presidents made that pilgrimage, not because they're Jewish, not because they are praying at that wall. I have no idea what the heck Bill Clinton is saying at this time, probably saying, get me the hell out of here. Because he has to. McCain, all these people, they go and visit. It's amazing. This guy's always in the picture. I guess he's the wall keeper or something. They keep him in there or he's the one that has to drag these presidents or presidents wannabe to the wall. Hillary Clinton. All right, lady, you touched the wall, so just back off a little bit. She's saying, oh God, I hope my mother is not watching me now. So that's the Wailing Wall in Palestine, which Israel, it's really not the Wailing Wall. It's not there, but that's a different story. And we're going to probably talk about the history of Jerusalem later on, not in the program, but we will talk about it later. Anyway, so what happens? Well, there's something happened. The Tea Party came along this time, and it really made a big difference. Now, when the Tea Party came out, it's like, no, this is not a party. We're tired of the old party system. We want to start a populist movement. Well, there was a populist movement that started by, let's say, the godfather of that movement is Ron Paul, who, incidentally, his son was elected the senator from Kentucky on the party, what do you call those? The Tea Party ticket. Well, that's Rand Paul. His father also won in Texas. He's a congressman. He likes to be elected all the time. So I guess, he could be a senator too, Rand Paul, but he likes being a congressman there. It keeps his blood moving. Because, when you sit there for 6 years, you don't have to worry about elections. I guess you get fat and lazy. But anyway, the Tea Party, well, all of them turned to be Republicans, and all of them are saying, we're Republicans. And so there's no Tea Party. But Tea Party, I remember, and I told you so, when some of my friends actually in this business, in the alternate media business, which many times we, Glenn Beck, we know Glenn Beck when he was with CNN. We know he was a whoremonger, actually, but a warmonger. So when he was with CNN, but there was a movement brewing in the country that the Zionists could not stand. And the Zionists had to actually get it and control it. So what happens? They got Glenn Beck into Fox Network, and Glenn Beck, all of a sudden, he turned a new leaf, and he started talking about the Constitution and how silly it was. Because the sad thing about it, ladies and gentlemen, some of my friends who are journalists, who have their own shows, TV programs and radio programs believed in this guy, and they started actually playing his tapes when he was talking about, because he was, you see, how in the heck you're going to get people to believe in you unless you get down to their level and start saying the things they believe in. So the Ron Paul movement, the anti-establishment movement, was basically the Ron Paul movement. So they needed to get it, hold it, and control it. They got Glimbick and his likes, and they did a darn good job that they became the leaders of that movement. It was heart-aching to see some of my friends who still anti-war, still anti-Zionist control in the Middle East, yeah, there's Zionist control in the Middle East, in America. I heard a big explosion outside. We're not, I don't know, we're not in Jerusalem here or in Palestine. We're in Lafayette, but I did hear, I guess we'll hear about it on the news later on. Anyway, so what happened is Glimbick started talking about the Constitution. We are the country. We've got to get to the Constitution. And started crying all over the place on TV. People believed in him. And people were dragged into this Tea Party thing. Anyway, so now we are going to actually show you a series of videos to show you, and this is the point that you need to go home with tonight. You at home, I know, but figure of speech. This is what you need to take home tonight. How important was Israel in this election? And why do our politicians, when it comes to our interest, United States interest, they split down party lines? Why? But when it comes to something that deals with American foreign policy, especially the ones that deals with Israel and its interest, they're 100%. Have you ever thought why? Why Republicans and Democrats are falling backwards to please Israel? And it happened. Now, they all did not like what Obama said in Cairo, because he said something was reasonable. We want peace. We want two-state solutions. We want peace between the Palestinians and the Israelis. We want, Islam is not our enemy. He was saying the right things. They did not like it. The Zionists in this country, the neocons who took us to war against a country that did not do us any harm, which is Iraq, they did not like it. So they started pumping all this money. They got their Zionist thug, Rupert Murdoch, to actually adopt the Tea Partiers. And they spent millions and millions and millions of dollars to get the Tea Party up and running. It was the same darn party, even though it was like loose change here and there, but it was controlled. It was controlled on issues that you thought, but they didn't care about domestic issues. They wanted to get those hardcore, pro-Israel congressmen and senators in there, because Israel is tired of Obama holding out. He asked them to freeze the settlement so we can talk peace here. They don't like it. Let's go ahead and play the first couple of clips that shows you a little bit of what in the world happened and what is this Tea Party and the politics and the election is all about. Let's do it.
I snuck up on him. Ladies and gentlemen from Hollywood, one that's worth something. Somebody in Hollywood who's worth something. There are a couple of them. David Jaggett of the Right Network.
Hello, everybody. Before I go on, I just want to say one thing. I am a first-generation, such a proud American Jew. And in traveling across the country with the Tea Party Express, I've noticed so many signs in support of Israel. I just want to thank you so much. It's so important right now. Thank you. It means the world. You have no idea. From all the Jews, even the crazy leftist ones. Thank you. Okay, listen up, guys. Are you sick and tired of Hollywood's betrayal and portrayal of American values? All right. Well, I got some news for you. Not everybody in Hollywood is a whacked out crazy leftist. You guys are familiar with the great Jon Voight, right? Well, my good friend and partner Kelsey Grammer is also a good one, right? Well, guess what? We're starting a new conservative entertainment television network this summer. It's about time, huh? How come I gotta think of these things? I don't get it. All right, we're going around and we're doing a promo shot at each Tea Party. I need you all to help me out, all right? It's very, very simple. I need you all to say Right Network, all that's right with the world. Not yet. Again, Right Network, all that's right with the world, in unison, as loud as you can. Ugly, young, old, everybody, okay? Squeeze together. Where's my flag man? Wave that high. Flag it. Squeeze. Here we go. Listen up, guys. 1, 2, 3.
Right for the world.
Woo! Is that good? Is that good? All right. If you want to find out more about us, please go to rightnetwork.com. That's our webpage for now, right, R-I-G-H-T, network.com. Take a look at all the programs we have in production right now. We want your opinions. This is a TV network that's going to be about us. It's not going to denigrate American values. It's not going to denigrate people of religious faith. It's not going to denigrate the military. It's not going to denigrate fathers and husbands. RightNetwork.com. Thank you very much, everybody. God bless you.
The future of America in the midterm elections didn't come down to Democrats or Republicans, free enterprise or socialism.
Comrades!
The fight wasn't fueled by tea or sanity,
But we live now in hard times, not end times.
but rather by billion-dollar oil and media giants on both sides of the political spectrum vying to expand profits and maintain control.
I think you have various tentacles of Wall Street. Wall Street is always going to win, no matter who wins, right? You have a left-wing group. You can say that's Jeff Immelt of General Electric and the NBC, MSNBC, and their group, and they're pro-Obama, as you can see every night with Olbermann and people like this. And then, of course, you've got Rupert Murdoch and the reactionaries, and there you have Fox News.
Whether at tea parties or rallies, America's grassroots have deep roots in big corporations.
Well, that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said the Tea Parties are astroturf.
Meet the Koch brothers, oil magnates, New York City ballet benefactors, and the financiers of the Tea Party. They've poured hundreds of millions of dollars into the right-wing political infrastructure. Former President Jimmy Carter has no doubt about whose interests the Tea Party is really advocating for.
I said they are financed by oligarchs in the oil industry, primarily the Koch brothers and others, who want to avoid any sort of regulation of what they do.
So how do you get so many self-proclaimed Tea Party patriots out in the streets for that?
God bless the United States of America.
Plenty of free airtime from Rupert Murdoch's News Corporation.
Yeah, that's their popular front, so to speak. Just like the Communist Party had its popular front, the corporations, knowing they can't be out front because people don't like a lot of these big corporations, and the camouflage is they give the Tea Partiers certain deceptive information and focus on certain politicians, and therefore they continue to work their will behind the scenes.
But the left
Okay. Well, you know, imagine that first clip, ladies and gentlemen, if somebody got up besides that guy and said, I'm a Catholic, would they have the cheers that they did and the applaud? What about if he said, I'm a Baptist? What about if he said, I'm a Muslim? But he said, I'm Jewish, and all of a sudden, cheers. And then he had to thank them for all the support Israel signs. Well, who the heck are they protecting? Are they really protecting the interest of the United States and the interest of the people as they are feeding them? Or are they protecting the interest of Israel as the financiers of the Tea Party intended to be? And the financiers of all parties intended to be? Because it takes money, ladies and gentlemen. Don't think that your $10 that you sent to your congressman or senator, that's if you do. You know, it takes millions of dollars to run one of those campaigns. Do you think your congressman is getting that money from the local community? No, he's not. He's getting it from whoever pays the most. And those who pay the most happen to be the supporters of Israel. And that's how come they can buy our politicians. Look at our politicians. You know, their main thing is, how do we protect Israel? And as a matter of fact, in the next two clips, you're going to see one clip where they are, this thing that Bill Kristol, you know, the neocon who actually started the war in Iraq, he started a new group called the Emergency something, you'll get the name now. And they are, you know, there is a congressman, Congressman Sistak. They wanted him out. So they ran an ad. You know, you can run ads on being, let's say, not on the right side with the healthcare or Social Security or the economy, because that's why we elect people to take care of this country. But their main thing to fight this guy with is they did not like what he did or his stance on Israel. But when he saw that ad, he came back with an ad that you are going to see is if the fight in the United States is only to please Israel. Let's play the emergency deal.
With us now, Chief White House Correspondent for Politico, Mike Allen, who's here with the morning playbook. I guess we'll start with the political ad, really taking aim at Joe Sestak's record on Israel. Show us the ad. Show us the ad, Mike. Here it is.
Does Congressman Joe Sestak understand Israel is America's ally? Sestak raised money for an anti-Israel organization the FBI called a front group for Hamas. Sestak signed a letter accusing Israel of collective punishment for blockading Hamas in Gaza. Sestak refused to sign a bipartisan letter affirming U.S. support for Israel. Call Joe Sestak. Ask him to stand with Israel.
Oh, I know. Boy, I'll tell you, Mike Allen, every Jewish group you talk to, I'm just going to say it, I mean, mainline Jewish groups across America feel betrayed by Barack Obama. And I'm afraid, I just say afraid, that we're going to see Middle East politics get in the middle as we move forward on this. And I say afraid because I think it's going to get very, very ugly.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point, Joe. And you're right that there are people on both the left and the right that are now irreparably opposed to this president simply over this issue. And that helped give the oxygen to this new group, Emergency Committee for Israel. Is Bill Kristol's behind it, Gary Bauer, the former Republican presidential candidate. They've raised enough money. We're going to see this ad on cable. And in the Philadelphia area, they're going to see this ad during a Phillies game.
So this is Bill Kristol and Gary Bauer that are a part of this group that are funding these sort of ads.
They are. And Bill Kristol told our Ben Smith that it's the pro-Israel wing of the pro-Israel supporters, which speaks to that frustration that you're talking about. Many Democratic supporters of this president very unhappy with the way that he's handled the Israeli Prime Minister.
Exactly. And Mark Halpern, you talk about Bill Kristol and Gary Bauer. People go, well, this is just a Republican, group of neocons. But I talk to liberal Democrats who are supporters of Israel, who, and I bring this up because these ads are going to have resonance with a lot of Democratic supporters.
The Bush administration was very interested in building support in the American Jewish community and drawing it away from Democrats. They're big donors, as Terry knows, and they're sizable population in places like Pennsylvania, Florida, New York, New Jersey. Terry, have you seen the issue of Israel politicized this way in your time in politics?
I've never seen anything like an ad like that ever before in all my years in politics. That is as
Is that out of line? I mean, it looks like they used his words.
Well, it's all how you frame the word. I do think that ad's totally out of line. I mean, this is what people hate.
committed to America, but we do have
No.
one ally.
Wait. No, Congressman Sestak, actually, he fight back. So let's play.
The far right is attacking Joe Sestak over Israel. They won't tell you that in Congress, Sestak consistently votes for aid to Israel, or that as a Navy admiral, he helps strengthen Israel's defenses. Joe Sestak courageously supports American leadership to end the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and supports a two-state solution, just like the majority of Americans who care about Israel's and America's security. Tell Congressman Sestak to keep fighting for peace and security in the Middle East.
Okay, so what do we have here? Is this Israel? Were those elections for Israel? Because, the Jews in this country, they're about 1.5%. But yet they have the lion's share of our politics. Now, don't say, don't pick on the Jews. Well, that's what they are. If they were Chinese, we would say Chinese. If they were Muslims, we would say Muslims. But that's what they are. It's like, this man, Congressman Sestak, he had to actually put an ad to defend himself, to defend his stand on Israel. Does it matter to this country what a congressman stand on Israel? I want to know what's his stand on Social Security. I want to know what's his stand on health care. I want to know what's his stand on education, on the economy, on the war. I don't care what his stand is on Israel, but yet it's the most important issue for those politicians. If they want to fight each other, they're fighting each other over Israel. We are really entangled, and this is something that our founding fathers have cautioned us of. Entanglement with foreign powers. You lose your sovereignty when you do that, and we are not a sovereign nation, ladies and gentlemen, when we have, our politicians would have to show that they support Israel to get elected in this country. You don't call that entanglement? Big time. Well, the next one is Rand Paul. Even though his dad is not pro-Israel at all, and he's been getting elected for the last 14 terms or so. His dad has criticized Israel. His dad's probably the only one, well, there's a couple of them, that criticize Israel because he can. His constituency is actually allowing him to do that. Because he explained himself to his constituents. He explained himself that, look, our interest is the United States of America. Our interest is our Constitution. Our number one is America, not Israel. And his constituents agreed with him. That's why they keep sending him to Washington. If our cowards in Congress, all over the country, if they would go back to their communities and tell them the story, the truth about Israel, their communities will support them. But they're not communicating well. Our congressmen and senators, they're not communicating well with the locals, like Congressman Ron Paul. Let's see what his son answered to same question about Israel.
We are committed to America, but we do have one ally, and that is the nation of Israel. And I know that. I know that your father has voted in opposition to Israel many, numerous times. And I've had calls from Jewish Federation and different friends. I like what you're doing, but I want you to promise us that you will always stand with Israel. Vice President Biden insulted Benjamin Netanyahu, snubbed him, meeting with other leaders who are doing nothing for us. Will you please tell me that you would promise that you will stand with Israel?
Thank you for the question. The interesting thing about it is that actually my father has been in favor of defunding Israel's enemies and not giving foreign aid to Israel's enemies. he's also been in favor of, and this has been some years ago, but there was an attack where Israel attacked the nuclear reactor in Iraq many years ago, and he was one of the very few who voted not to condemn Israel on that. As I told you earlier, and I will absolutely stick to this, is that I will never vote to condemn Israel for protecting herself. But I will.
Okay. You know, his father, Ron Paul, on many occasions, and that woman was like, you know, they get somebody, and when you think about, you know, hearing her, she's probably like a grandmother, and the way she's talking, promise me that you are going to stand with Israel. It is the only ally we have. Why? It probably is. It probably is. We don't have any more allies in the world because we're screwing up. We're killing people all over the place for no reason. One reason, to please Israel. All the wars that we are engaged in right now is for Israel. So, yeah, I guess they will be the only ally. And did you see his answer? You know, I really don't like him. I don't like Rand. Even though when he first started, I was supporting him. But when this Tea Party came up and he started changing and wanting to say the right thing to please. Did you hear what he answered? She told him, he said, look, your dad on many occasions, and Ron Paul did criticize Israel on many occasions. The only thing he can say is, oh, my dad voted to withhold funds on organizations that are against Israel. Well, yeah, but you didn't say what your dad said about Israel when they killed over 1,400 people in Gaza. He called them Nazis. He didn't say that. Be brave, Rand, just like your dad, and I'm sure your people, your locals, will come around and they will understand. You know, protect the country that we live in here. You know, American Jewish community and, you know, one ally. You know, President Carter, when he called them oligarchs, that's what they are. They are the mob. The mob is what is governing this country. The mob is what is putting the money to buy our politicians. It's a mob rule. Put me on CNN or Fox. I'll turn this country around in 2 weeks. Just have them put me up there. You should send a petition to Rupert Murdoch. Forget about Glenn Beck, or when he had that Sean Hannity and Michael, forgot his last name. Put me with Sean Hannity. Put me with Glenn Beck. Let me expose those warmongers, idiots, traitors, anti-America, Israel firsters. Let me expose all of them. Well, again, the Tea Party. We're going to go to Florida, actually, with Marco Rubio in Florida, who also won. But let's see what he said about Israel.
The Obama doctrine of appeasing our enemies, alienating our allies, and delegating our national security to the international community may have won President Obama a Nobel Peace Prize, but it has made the world a more volatile and dangerous place. This administration has turned its back on the decades-old post-World War II system, a system of alliances that previous presidents, Republicans and Democrats, built and nurtured, and the result has been chaos. Today, our allies look at America and the future of U.S. foreign policy as a proverbial jump ball, and with unprecedented uncertainty about where America will stand. Israel is a particularly striking example of what is wrong with President Obama's approach to foreign policy. The modern state of Israel is deeply rooted in ancient times, and despite being under the control of various powers resulting in a worldwide Jewish diaspora, there has been a continuous, unbroken Jewish presence in the land of Israel for over 3,000 years. Israel declared its independence on May 14th of 1948. Its neighbors attacked them the next day. And Israel has been under military, economic, diplomatic, and propaganda attack ever since. Simply put, there is no nation on earth that has faced or is facing the combination and severity of threats as Israel has. Its entire population lives with thousands of missiles and rockets constantly aimed at them. Routine acts, such as riding a bus to work or school, or sitting in a cafe reading or surfing the internet, require an unnecessary level of courage amidst homicide bombers. Terrorist groups such as Hamas have enshrined Israel's destruction in their founding charters.
That's good. Take him off.
And nations such as Iran and its illegitimate...
We're running out of time, actually. So, but did you see what he said? It's all about Israel. And when he said that when it was established, the next day the neighbors attacked it, that's the biggest lie that Zionist, everything he read, ladies and gentlemen, everything he read is coming from the Zionist book of Political Agenda 101. Everything he read. Thousands of missiles? Where? Israel has nuclear bombs, for God's sake. They have stealth bombers, they have submarines, they have tanks, they have F-15s, F-18s. They are the fourth strongest army in the world. They are the 50th economy in the world. And who they're fighting? The unarmed Palestinians, Christians, and Jews. Christians and Muslims. You see the lies? Just to get elected. Just to get elected. We're not going to do, we have a video about Christine O'Donnell. Well, she didn't win, but she said the same thing about Israel. Well, you know what? Speaking of Israel, there's a Tea Party in Israel. Let's play the Tea Party in Israel video.
Now on to the Tea Party. You know, my favorite right-wing, anti-big government, hypocritical. We don't really know what we want, so we're going to let corporations pay for our fake grassroots movement. Americans. Now, it turns out that they're not the only Obama haters on the international scene, because they have some very kindred spirits in Israel who hate Obama just as much as they do, and who've decided to establish a Tea Party of their own. Yep, you heard me right. There is a Tea Party movement forming in Israel. And just like the Tea Party here, their main efforts right now are anti-Obama. See, Israel's conservative party, the Likud faction, is not a fan of Benjamin Netanyahu's history of, quote, caving to pressure by the American government. Kind of funny because I can't really remember the last time that Israel caved on any kind of pressure. Last I heard, they were still building settlements, but apparently that's not enough for the Israeli Tea Party. See, they were outraged about President Obama even saying that Israel should extend the settlement moratorium. Anyways, some conservatives just don't feel like the Likud party is acting out strongly enough against Netanyahu or Obama. So a small group of hardliners has branched off in what they call a grassroots effort to stop Netanyahu. Sounds kind of familiar, right? Now, the Israeli Tea Party will hold their inaugural rally this weekend in Tel Aviv. But I just wonder, which founding fathers...
Okay. Yeah, which founding fathers are they going to go back to? You know, what's so interesting, ladies and gentlemen, most Jewish people in the country did not vote for the Republicans. They're only 1.5%. So their votes really, it does not mean much. So those candidates are not worried about Jewish vote, maybe in a couple of states. Most congressmen are not worried about Jewish votes, but they are worried about Jewish money. Most Jews, most American Jews did not vote for Republicans. So whoever is controlling our political system, which they are Zionist Jews, most of the Jews are not with them. You believe it? That's the numbers. The numbers are saying that. So who are these people who love Israel? Well, it's the Sarah Palins of this world. It's those people who think that they are going to rapture and go and meet God. Let's do the Alberman Sarah Palin.
An
self-employed Alaska blogger Sarah Palin likes to talk about her faith without talking about her faith. And for the record, our third story is neither ridiculing nor disputing her religious beliefs. It is purely an attempt to discern exactly what those beliefs constitute so that the voters of 2012 know exactly what they're getting. There's nothing to suggest that Palin's religious beliefs are anything but utterly mainstream, American mainstream anyway. But in the last 2 weeks, she has revealed pieces of the puzzle of her religious doctrines that suggest she shares the belief of her church, the Assemblies of God, that in the end times, the rapture, Jesus lifts true believers up with him as non-believers suffer through the apocalypse. She's also implying now that her interpretation of biblical prophecy drives core elements of her foreign policy, as the conservative Washington Times claimed last September, as the nation got its first inklings that Palin shared the evangelical belief in the end times.
There were some things about the natural resources, about the state. There were some things that God wants to tap into to be a refuge for the lower 48. And I believe Alaska is one of the refuge states. Come on, you guys, in the last days.
But in the last days, these evangelicals believe cannot happen until Israel is fully restored, the Temple on the Mount rebuilt, and Jews return from around the world. Here's what Palin's church believes. Quote, when the modern nation of Israel was founded in 1948 and Jews began returning from all around the world, Bible scholars knew that God was at work and that we were very likely living in the last days. Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 21, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land. But does Palin herself believe in this prophecy of Jews returning to Israel, followed by Armageddon, the destruction of Israel, and the death of Jews and other non-believers, that this will happen soon? There was no evidence of that until last week. Keep in mind, when asked about her own ambitions, Palin said she can make no predictions.
I am not one to predict what will happen in a few years.
But when asked about Israel, where Reuters reported immigration is down to fewer than 20,000 Jews a year, Palin last week suddenly decided she can make predictions without identifying the source of her prediction.
I believe that the Jewish settlements should be allowed to be expanded upon because that population of Israel is going to grow. More and more Jewish people will be flocking to Israel in the days and weeks and months ahead.
More and more Jewish people will be flocking to Israel in the days and weeks and months ahead, just as Ezekiel prophesies. And explaining why Israel gets a special place in her foreign policy, telling Shimon Peres falsely that the only flag in her office was Israel's, Dr. Thomas Ice at the Pre-Tribulation Research Center at Jerry Falwell's Liberty University told The Atlantic, quote, what Sarah Palin probably believes is that this is the first regathering, a condition for the second regathering, the regathering in belief when the Jewish nation is converted. Then there will be the Battle of Armageddon.
Talk about a nation of extremists here. You know, we say Muslim extremists. And all studies have showed that, yeah, there is about 1 or 2% of Muslims that you can call extremists. We have the whole darn country extremists. And we accept in it. We accept the nonsense. Yeah, okay, it's sense to other people, but that's your belief. Don't go around killing people because of your belief. Let God do his own work. Let's not work and grab the hand of God into getting to your Armageddon so you can rapture and be with Jesus. You believe in that. Not all Christians believe in that. Not all Christians. Put it in your head. Not all Christians believe in that. But you're willing to kill half of the world so you can rapture and go with God. So what are these people who think they are rapturing? Let's play the next video and you'll see the mentality of half of the country are extremists.
So we're here with Representative Tom DeLay, the one and only former representative, yeah. The Hammer. Can I call you the Hammer?
Sure.
What brings you to Christians United for Israel?
Well, I was in on the ground floor. I worked with John and Diana Hagee for many, many years on many different projects.
And how much of an inspiration is the second coming in your support for Israel?
Obviously, it's what I live for.
Really?
And I hope it comes tomorrow.
Really?
Absolutely.
Wow.
And obviously, we have to be connected to Israel in order to enjoy the second coming of Christ.
July 16, 2007, thousands of evangelicals flocked to Washington for Christians United for Israel's annual Washington Israel Summit. Founded by Texas megachurch pastor John Hagee, Christians United for Israel lobbies Congress for an expansion of Israeli territory and a unilateral military attack on Iran.
You talk about entanglement.
Here are some of my reasons Christians United for Israel support the Jewish people and the state of Israel today, tomorrow, and forever until Messiah comes.
Our support of Israel has nothing to do with end times prophecy. It has absolutely nothing to do with eschatology.
You're not concerned about their eschatology, their belief in end times theology?
All religions have eschatology. The question is whether somebody believes that they can move the clock of eschatology forward by themselves. The only one who says that is Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, the president of Iran.
The denials by Pastor Hagee and his minions of an ulterior end times agenda were directly contradicted by members of their own organization.
Basically, I believe that you have to embrace Israel as part of the second coming.
But when the Battle of Armageddon is over and they come out of hiding and they see him and he tells them who he is, they say, who is this?
The Jews will accept Christ.
The Jews accept Christ as a nation then, and they are restored.
The Jews are God's chosen people, but they will, they have to be witnessed to just like anybody else.
Yeah.
There's only one way to heaven, and that says in John 14:6.
What's going to happen to the non-believer? Well, I think it's pretty clear. They're not going to be in heaven, so the other place is not too pleasant.
And you're Jewish as well?
Yeah, that's right.
Blumenthal, yeah. And do you believe in the Lord Jesus Christ?
Well, I'm Jewish. So are you going to pray for me afterwards?
You certainly will. Actually, we've been praying for the whole Jewish race for a long time.
Really?
Yes.
You've been praying for the whole Jewish race?
We're praying that y'all see the Messiah, because we believe that Jesus is the Messiah, and you guys haven't really come to that recognition yet, but we believe that you will.
That's the Battle of Armageddon. It's the believers against the
All right, we're running out of time, so let's go ahead and turn that one off. I wish if we had more time, because there was some interesting stuff to show you. The strange marriage between these rapturing people who want to rapture and the Jewish state is amazing, because these Christians believe that in the end times we're going to go there and Jews are going to be converted into Christians. Those same people who hate Christians and who say that Jesus was an imposter, these people think they're going to, after Armageddon, that they want to build this state of Israel so they can get to Armageddon. It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. In the meantime, you're killing children. In the meantime, you're destroying this country with this nonsense. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. We do have one more. I've got to show you this one. We only have like 6 minutes left, but I've got to show you this one. This is an interview that I did back in January with Representative Jim Traficant. I guess the core of what he said about the Israeli involvement in our politics. Let's play Jim before we at the end of the hour. Congressman, let me ask you this and be blunt about it. Do you think if you are not favoring Israel and if you're not favoring AIPAC, do you think you stand a chance in being elected? And also, do you think you stand a chance in creating a third party unless you are catering to Israel? I mean, let's face it.
But you know what, Doc? Somebody's got to come forward and it's got to try and educate the American people. And nothing personal against Israel, but they shouldn't control America. Now, let me make this statement. I want you to listen to it. I want all your viewers to listen to it. This statement was not made by a talk show host, nor a comedian, nor some diplomat. Listen to the statement. We, the Jewish people, control America, and the Americans know it. That statement was made on October the 3rd, 2001, by Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon, and it never appeared in an American newspaper other than American Free Press and the precursor to Spotlight. I don't know when the Free Press was constituted.
Congressman.
Think about that. Ahead of state, we control America.
Now, let me ask you a question. People around you don't want you to talk like that. What are you going to do about your closest advisors who are telling you, you know what, we need to lay off this Jewish thing and we need to lay off this Israel thing, but you're not doing it. Apparently you're not listening to them. So what is the deal here?
The bottom line, Doctor, I'm concerned about America. I'm very concerned, and I believe America is in very serious trouble, grave danger. And yes, there are people who are saying, Jim, you're very popular still. You're probably viable. No one's ever come out of prison and won an election, and you have the potential to do that. Shut up about that Israeli problem. They control the press. They control the networks. They control the money and commerce of the country. They control the Congress. They'll just label you some kind of nut, et cetera, et cetera.
And that's the only way to win.
You know what? I said, so be it. But while I have a voice, and while I'm still alive, I'm going to discuss and bring to the awareness of those people that I can touch with the truth.
Okay. I looked good in that video, didn't I? Okay. That was back in January, by the way. January of this year. Well, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, we do apologize for our callers because we really had a lot of material to cover and did not have much time to go to our callers, and we really apologize for that. It's just it was an important subject, and we really needed to bring the message home. We're not Israel. We don't want to be entangled with Israel. It is time to cut that umbilical cord. It's going to be hard because a lot of people, you know, I'm looking at all these thousands and hundreds of thousands and even millions of Americans who somehow got programmed. They programmed them. You know, all these, they're normal-looking Americans in these tea parties. They're normal-looking. But those are the people that don't go anywhere else except listen to Sean Hannity, Rush Limbaugh, even Jon Stewart. Doesn't matter left, right, when it comes to Israel, when it comes to that, everybody speaks with one voice. Why? Because that's where the money is. That's where the money is. It's sad, ladies and gentlemen. This country went to war because of who controls our politics. AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, that's who controls us. That's who controls our politics. That's who controls our decisions. It's all made in Israel. And millions of people can't see that. They don't explain all this. They just say, oh, let's sing with Israel, and they give them a bunch of lies. Anyway, you know, it's really amazing, ladies and gentlemen, when you really think about it, that our politicians, our system of government, our Constitution, everything that our founders' fathers, everything that those brave souls fought and died for to give us freedom, we found ourselves losing that freedom because of this foreign entanglement. Because it's not like our founding fathers. You know, those were the prophets because they told us, stay away from foreign entanglement. You are going to lose your sovereignty. You are going to lose your freedom. The freedom that we are fighting for, you are going to lose it, that we fought for. And that's exactly what happened. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, to let them go. They're going to drag us, and it is to their advantage to weaken the United States because they want to be a superpower. on our backs. We're helping them. Extremism in America? Yes. That's who are extremists, because they believe in those theories. They believe that they have to do that so they can rapture and be with God. That's all we have tonight. Good night. Go do the right thing.